Poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. This was once said by Aristotle, a Greek philosopher. Ladies and gentlemen, hi and a very good day I bid to all of you. My name is Khuvina a Form 5 student from Kota Tinggi Sains School. Today I will be reviewing on a book which I find not only interesting but very informative as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist, or also known as The Parish Boy's Progress, is a contemporary literary fiction written by the well-known author Charles Dickens, who was an English humanistic novelist, first published in the year 1837. This story sets back in one of London's dirtiest streets, orphanages and workhouses. Among other famous characters portrayed by the author in this book include Nancy, a prostitute, Bill Sikes, a notorious murderer and a criminal, Fagin, the artful dodger, Mr. Sowerberry, and also old Mr. Brownlow, a kind old gentleman who, being born in a workhouse, Oliver Twist was then taken to live in an orphanage by Mrs. Mann, who didn't really treat him very well after the death of his mother at childbirth. The identities of both of his parents remain a mystery throughout the entire story until the very end of it. However, at about 8 or 9 years old, Oliver Twist was then taken in by Mr. Bumble, a pompous old beadle, to a workhouse where he was given harsh treatment, long hours of child labor, and yet very little food. However, it wasn't long for him to be taken in to the care of an undertaker called Mr. Sowerberry after he deliberately asked for more food. The climax of this story was at the point when Oliver Twist actually decided to run away from Mr. Sowerberry due to the harsh treatment given by Mr. Sowerberry's wife and Noah Claypole, an apprentice of Mr. Sowerberry. Thinking that he might be getting a better life outside, Oliver Twist decided to run away to London. However, it did not take long for young innocent Oliver to be tricked by a total stranger known as the Artful Dodger, who promised him food and shelter at a safe place, only to indulge him into crime until he was finally caught by old Mr. Brownlow, who thought of him to steal his handkerchief. However, my dear viewers, every story must have its twist, and the twist in this story was at the point when Oliver Twist was once again kidnapped by Nancy under the orders of Fagin. Now, why all of a sudden? Why was Oliver Twist so valuable towards Fagin all of a sudden? What was Fagin's real intentions towards Oliver Twist? All of these I will leave it to you to find out by yourself while reading this book. From Nancy being notoriously murdered, the Artful Dodger being caught, Bill Sikes killed in an act of escape, till the very gallows that hung the neck of Fagin, all of this will be precisely described in this novel. In the end, Oliver finally found peace of mind after all of this paraphernalia ended. The sentences used in this story are really easy to understand, and it really portrays a gripping portrayal of London's dark criminal underbelly. What I truly love about this book is that at the end of it, there is a list of glossary prepared by the author for the readers to refer in case you don't understand the meaning of any words. And there are also various sentences given as examples for these words. And this is why I highly encourage children, especially teenagers, to start reading this book, because although it might seem lengthy, it is actually quite helpful for you to improvise your vocabulary skills, your reading skills, and so on. Dear viewers, as I've said before this, Oliver Twist is a story regarding crime, poverty, mostly towards children, and its impacts towards children during the Victorian era in Britain. However, unfortunately, the same fate of that still lurks in our current society today. And why is that so? According to our Economics and Affairs Minister Mustafa Mohamad during the SDGs webinar, there was a 5.6% of poverty rate in Malaysia during 2019. However, this rate has increased up to 8.4% in 2020, mainly due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But are we just going to sit here and watch it increase day by day? No. Therefore, I highly encourage everyone, especially children, teenagers, and even adults, to start reading this book, not only to get a glimpse of life in the past, not only to know what it's like to live in the 80s or what it's like to live in the Victorian society, but to understand what were the impacts of the poverty during the past, and what are the effects and what has this impacted on us in our current society. What are the impacts of reading this book? It's not just mere fiction. It's not just mere fairy tales. Well, it's not fairy tales at all. It's not just mere fiction, but it's not even a reminiscence of what happened in the past, nor a prediction of the future. But the story in here tells us what our society has been going through from time to time despite the many revolutions, what are the impacts of it towards children, and so on. Therefore, it's time for us, the younger generation, to take on this burden to help curb the effects of poverty in order for a bigger and brighter future for our younger generation tomorrow. That is all from me, darling viewers. I hope you will start reading this book, and please enjoy reading. Thank you very much for listening to me. Goodbye.